Stand up for my rights. Live for humanity. Expose corruption. Expose evil. Go after tyranny. That's what I'm about. That's what I want to do with my life. And here are a couple lower level stories just to show you how corrupt authorities can be. Oh, don't question the authorities. Remember, in China, they're here to help. Obey the party. Well, here's a couple little crazy articles. Ex-Alabama judge accused of having sex with inmates. And I'm going to tell you right now, those accusations are probably true. Okay, this happens more often than not. These people are corrupt. Herman Thomas had an enviable political record as a black Democrat elected and reelected in a county overwhelmingly white and increasingly Republican. The respected circuit judge once was the Democratic Party's choice to be the first black federal judge in South Alabama. Then his career collapsed under allegations that he brought inmates into his office and spanked them with a paddle. Later, an indictment accused him of sexually abusing male inmates in exchange for leniency. He just goes to him, look, you're doing 10 years in prison. I can probably shave about 5 or 6 out of that if, I get a little play here. I mean, how crazy is that? The trial on charges of sodomy, kidnapping, sex abuse, extortion, assault and ethics violations is set to start Monday. But judges are good people. Oh, they're always so good. He was trying to help those inmates. They had to spend so much time in the prison. He shaved off some years for stuff they were probably doing in prison anyway. And something just along those lines, former student defends Obama's safe school czar against allegations. This guy who's another safe school czar, because we need czars in this country for some reason. He's supposed to be in charge. Tells of a tale of how he knew a 15-year-old back in the 80s who was having sex with older men in bathrooms and he never reported it. That's the guy that we want as our safe school czar. Nightmarish, unbelievable. All right, let's continue with the calls. Those are just 2 low-level examples of corruption. That's not even on the federal level. And believe me, it gets worse and worse and worse as you start digging deeper and deeper into what these people are into. These power-hungry madmen. All right, let's go to John in Arkansas. John, you're on the line.
Hey, how y'all doing this evening?
Good.
Anyway, sure, I was listening to what Obama was saying about how the police were coming into his house in the middle of the night and everything. Mm-hmm. And something similar to that effect happened to me, like 2, maybe 3 days ago. I was walking home from my girlfriend's house, and a police officer stopped me in the street and everything, was talking to me. He said, hey, how you doing? He was friendly at first. And he said, so he broke out a conversation to me. So are you going to take the new flu shot and everything? I said, no, sir. He said, why not? I said, because I believe it's government propaganda and they're trying to poison the hell out of us. And he looked at me crazy. He said, look here, our government is here to protect us and everything like that. I said, ha, you say that. But
hold on a second. Is this another guy?
Yeah, this is a guy out of Canada being stopped on the streets of Canada by a police officer who's acting real nice and then asked him out of nowhere, hey, you planning on taking the shot? Shot?
That actually happened in Canada, too?
Well, listen to this.
I'm sorry, John. Arkansas. My bad.
Yeah, but speaking of Canada, they have all the same stuff is going on there where they just put army on the streets to patrol. Same thing's happening here, just like they're taking people's kids if they let their kids go have breakfast with the neighbors or if anyone babysits. No, you're not allowed free association, but expanding, Jason, they admit that thousands of times per state, the police now go in your houses without warrants.
Coming up on a break.
And they don't even ask permission, claiming Patriot Act. Look, this country's over. They're just robbing us. This is out.
Speaking of the swine flu vaccine, they are doing all they can to really hype up that this is good for you. That how dare people question it. And this is the headline at MSNBC yesterday. Flu vaccine is on its way, but public wary. And they're trying to ease people into it and tell them, don't be worried, it's good for you. I don't know why you wouldn't want your 2-year-old to take it. And in Canada, the open plan in Canada is, we can't get the 18 to 30-year-old crowd because they're not going to be part of the makeshift vaccination centers in the school. So we're just going to set those makeshift vaccination centers outside of the bars. And we're going to get them that way. And they're going to roll up their sleeves. All right, let's continue with the calls. Let's go to Ed in Canada. Ed, you're on the line. Good.
I just giving you a quick call here. I'm just wondering about a couple things. One of the things you're talking about in Canada, I just seen in our local paper that they're actually going to give the public schools and children there the option to bypass what their parents think about having a shot.
So they're going to try to do it without the parents even signing a permission slip or even having the knowledge that their child is going to be vaccinated?
Well, no, it's like the parents will know about it, but if the parents decide that this is for kids that are under 18, obviously at 18 you can make a decision, but they're not giving the under 18. They're actually saying that if the children put let's say, you know how you get a little bit of support, your teachers saying the shots are good and what have you. They're in a position where they can bypass what the parents want.
So you're telling me they're going to make it up to the children and they're just not going to send a permission slip home, and it's not going to matter whether Mr. and Mrs. Rogers...
You can sign a permission slip, and if you say no, the children go to school and say, well, all my friends are getting a shot. I want the shot. The parents have no say in it.
So they're basically going to brainwash the children and say that it's okay for them to bypass their parents at this point to take the poison.
This was in a local paper a couple weeks ago, the Era Banner. It's ERABANNER, and that's in the New York region, Era Banner, Newmarket paper. And it was actually, I could probably scrounge around and get it, but it was actually in a paper. One parent was actually really upset about it, but they're saying that with this, the way it's going, that anything else, if your kid wants to get, let's say, permission to go to even a movie, you can't go if you have to be 17 or whatever to go to a restricted movie. Mm-hmm. But basically here they can bypass it. They can be children, yet they can have the shot. But
it's all about putting the state into control, sir. That's what this is about. This is about bypassing the parents, say that they're not important. It's unbelievable, but it's happening. You don't want to go by WHO level 6, where they say they can quarantine large areas, give you off-site drugs that don't have to work, and you can't sue afterwards if you do survive them. They can just take a building and make it into a makeshift vaccination center. I got news for people. We've been under WHO level 6 for quite some time. Now that the vaccinations are actually getting ready, they may be ready to implement this. Total nightmare. Thank you so much for the call, Ed. That is crazy. Again, the parent can say, no, my child's not taking the vaccine. But if they can convince the child otherwise in the classroom, it doesn't matter if he's 8 years old or 14, they'll let him roll up his sleeve and take the thing. Let's go to Josephine in California. Josephine, you're on the line.
Hey, how are you?
I'm all right.
Okay, great. I have a question that is in no relation to what you guys are discussing, but I have a question in the documentary that you made, The Obama Deception.
Sure. And
how the carbon tax, how they're going to carbon tax everything. Well, they are doing it now, and how it's crippling the economy on, gas, beef, etc. We're not really seeing, us, the consumer, we're not really seeing any of those taxes. Only the wealthiest 1%.
No, that's not true. Hold on. That is absolutely not true. That is the propaganda that the mainstream media is telling you. The top 1% are laughing because they're going to make money on these carbon offsets. Meanwhile, they'll never plant trees in another country. When it actually gets passed, man, they're going to say, oh, you've got 3 bags of garbage? That's an extra $20. You've got two cars? That's an extra $1,500 a year. Oh, you like to heat your home? Oh, that's big time tax. We'll be back after this.